It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will.
So good morning, Paul and Ron. It's 109 days now since LaMelo was gunned down in the middle of I-10 in broad daylight, surrounded by law enforcement. I will tell you that there is some movement. The FBI is investigating, as they can, ballistics, and of course that's not unusual. I think that there's more than that. I know that there's one organization that is now contemplating or seeking to ask for federal investigation. I was contacted very early on, and I can't give a lot of details about this, but I was contacted by a person who is in the federal sphere, let's say, who was very adamant about the fact that what happened on that infamous day was not right. It was contrary to everything, every standard that law enforcement will have. You just don't shoot the hostage. You just don't do that. It's particularly when there's other options. Can you inadvertently shoot the hostage while trying to stop a melee, stop, let's just say, the hostage holder, the kidnapper, from inflicting more carnage, killings? There are some situations where you evaluate the many as opposed to the few or the one. This is not one of those. You don't shoot the hostage for the sake of saving yourself when you have the opportunity to get out of the way, seek cover. Seek cover. And so there are some arguments here, and I won't labor the fact, but I will tell you that there are people in very, very high places who are looking at this, as am I, and as are you, and we will not stop until such time we have a reasonable explanation as to what happened to that 4-month-old baby in Biloxi. And so that might be to the chagrin of some, but for others it's noble, as it should be for all of us. And for the individual who feels that it's just another crack baby that was taken out of the game, karma is a mother. It really is. Be careful. You know, how you evaluate the lives of others come back to haunt you. Not wishing anything on you? No, yeah, I am. I'm wishing something on you. How about that? Yeah, I do. Okay? I think you should get what you deserve. Yes. That's what I'm praying for. Whatever that is, whatever justice your maker, your creator seeks that you should have, suggesting that this innocent life was not worthy of living. Yeah, I want you to get what's coming to you. You know, I was always taught that, you know, you could defeat someone with love, but that takes too long. What? You have a problem with that?
Mm-hmm.
Am I going too far? Am I just being too honest?
I don't think so. I'm not sure if that's possible.
Oh, why you have that look on your face and you're putting up those 10 commandments?
Well, I mean, the tablets are here.
Do unto others before they do unto you, I think is how it's read.
I think that's how it goes.
But you will be relieved, those of you, to know that. And by the way, my thanks to John Kemp for actually keeping us posted on a lot of things. John, I left your name out of that group that I mentioned the other day, but I really appreciate it. Your efforts there in Biloxi are noteworthy.
No doubt.
You know, it's time for honorable men. It's time for us to regain that, guys. We have allowed the Trumplicans to just really, actually not even Trumplicans, the conservatives to run this our entire country into the hole. I mean, it's to the point whereby these guys have convinced us that being brash, being bold in your face is somehow being strong, and it's not. It's not. Being honorable is defending the weak, protecting the innocent. Now, I know that there are those of you who came up along Ronald Reagan, whereby you consider that as goody two-shoes. Dudley do right. And even Ronald Reagan came along when being a Boy Scout meant something more than just being a boy. I don't know how he changed it, except he tried to create some kind of phony baloney machismo that he didn't have because he was an actor. No, he didn't serve in the military. He acted like he did. Even thought he did once he had Alzheimer's.
Bedtime for Bonzo.
He was on 20 Mule Team Bull Racks, I believe, when I first really started watching him. You don't know what that is. It was a series, a cowboy series. I think he was on that. Don't ask me about it. I'm not going to go into it. It's not worthy of that. But I do want to go into this conservative flip-flop. They will flip the script on you in a heartbeat. They'll have you thinking that weak is strong and strong is weak. A tree hugger to them is an offense. Or a woman who simply is trying to fight for her rights in a man's world. Oh, yeah, she's got to be some kind of Nazi. I think someone sent me as feminazi or something. Are you crazy? They have convinced us that defending the weak and protecting the innocent and fighting for your rights is a bad thing. Every conservative will tell you that. If you want to disagree, call me. I'll give you some examples. The great guru, Maharaja, whatever he is, dead and should be forgotten, Russian Limbaugh. Trust me on this. He's not inclusive. There's nothing inclusive about being a conservative. It's quite the contrary. But they will flip the script on you. They will lead you to believe that that's exactly what it is. I'm against big government. I'm against inclusion. On the other hand, we'll turn around and cite Rip Daniels or Roe or anyone else who is contrary to their beliefs with being, a militant. Or he just wants critical race theory. Ooh, that's the new big boogeyman there that no one seems to know about. Or the leftists. Where are these guys? I want to see the guys with the left T-shirts. They've even convinced you that being progressive is a bad thing. In other words, making progress to them is, not making America great. Making America great was how it used to be. Of course, when you had the Great Society, of course, that's also when you had Jim Crow, segregated military. But at least you had apple pie and hot dogs in their minds. It's time for honorable men. It's time for those individuals to stand up. I had this conversation yesterday, and I really appreciated it. It's as if somehow or another that person saying, no, you're wrong. No, I disagree with that. I really disagree with that. And take your lumps. Everybody's not going to agree with you. Look, this is what I do. Most of y'all don't agree with me. He's opinionated. Well, who wouldn't be? If you have an opinion, then you're opinionated. So if you disagree, it's okay. You don't have to fall out. You don't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater, for God's sake. There might be some things we can agree on, but we're not going to agree all the time. I have one very special caller here who I attribute coming up with the right description of white and furious. We disagree. Sometimes we agree. Sometimes I hang up, we move on. Honorable man. Because he's seeking truth. He's seeking right. Not right politically right. Not right because it makes people like you, but because you're honorable enough to take your lumps. Not everything is going to go the way you want. Let me just tell you, ladies and gentlemen, there is no doubt in my mind, and there should be no doubt in your mind, that the man that's sitting in the White House is an honorable man. He's not going to do what's politically expedient. Not old Joe. Now, you can sit there and say what you want about him. You can try to come up with the old oxy-conservative criticism. Oh, his cognitive skills. Ro, man's on the one.
Seems like it.
Still has a stutter problem, but he's on the one. Sometimes might forget a few things, but look, has a very good grasp of his faculties and what is going on. Honest. Far more honest than the person we had in the White House. Now, for those of you who support him, that's okay. You can support a liar, a cheat, a thief, you can support that. That's okay, but trust me. Yeah, but you're up his policies. When you name one of his policies that took this country forward. Now, I mean, hang on. I watched the policies. There are a couple of policies that I think had some merit. But the follow-through of them and his rationale for doing them and the mere fact that he made them not as effective because he made it political. I'll get into that later as a foreign policy and all. He should have kept his damn mouth shut. You don't have to tell the world you're doing tariffs. So what you've got to do is say, okay, here it is. When you got a guy around the neck, you can stop talking. Because he stopped listening. He just want to breathe. But I was really impressed with old Joe as he made his statement. And we're going to get into this Afghanistan thing, but here is the one statement you need to remember. And he said it very, very well as it applies to our pulling out of Afghanistan.
Here's what I believe to my core. It is wrong to order American troops to step up when Afghanistan's own armed forces would not. The political leaders of Afghanistan were unable to come together for the good of their people, unable to negotiate for the future of their country when the chips were down. They would never have done so while U.S. troops remained in Afghanistan, bearing the brunt of the fighting for them. And our true strategic competitors, China and Russia, would love nothing more than the United States to continue to funnel billions of dollars in resources and attention into stabilizing Afghanistan indefinitely.
Yeah. That first part. I did not see not one uniform. I mean, I saw all the video. I mean, even on Al Jazeera. I mean, throughout the entire country, I was looking for the 300,000 guys we gave uniforms. I mean, I'm talking really nice uniforms. I'm talking camouflage, even boots. 300,000 boots and uniforms went to these Afghan GIs. I didn't see one, Ro, did you?
I'm still not.
I didn't see anybody with guns. I didn't see a whole bunch of smoke except coming from the embassy as they were burning everything. I mean, maybe it's because the journalists were not, I mean, it wasn't safe. I mean, I could see that in Kandahar and other places, but you would have thought they would have had, Al Jazeera would have had some film to show, well, okay, yeah, well, now they're in Kandahar, now they're in this, and now they're in this, in the Anbar province. And it was as if they took the uniforms off and then put on the tablecloths.
Those uniforms cost the American taxpayer $28 million, by the way.
In total? Mm-hmm. What about the boots? Man, I like those boots.
Nice boots.
You can't get those military boots, man.
He had nice uniforms.
Not one, Ro. Not one. Where'd all the guns go?
Where'd the guns go? Most importantly, where the guns go.
Not one. You know, I had this strange dream, and I don't dream about crazy things, really. I usually dream about how to fix things, and that's what I was dreaming about with Afghanistan. I said to myself, I didn't see not one unit, no shooting. No shooting, no. I mean, you really did not see this. It was like, okay, all I saw a bunch of guys in the MC Hammer pants. I don't know how they can think that looks cool. That's not cool anymore, is it, Ro? I mean, I know that in areas like this, that you think it's going to be hot, but you want to protect yourself from the sun, so you have yards of fabric around you.
It's coming back in American fashion. It's never gone away in Afghan fashion.
I remember Hamid Kazi wearing the cape and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I guess it's the wear you wear. And by the way, it's not only there in Afghanistan. I mean, you can find it in Africa as well. Many of you guys who've not been there, you have a tendency to think that Africa is just Africa hot all the time, and it is not. It's Africa hot, but it's Africa cold, too. Even in the summertime. I'm talking 40 degrees flying into Cape Town. 40-mile-per-hour winds. Early morning hours. It's a strange thing. But, I mean, it's just, they have these little half hats. You just see the little half hats? And I'm not talking about the kind you have at Ingles. They have the little half caps. They got the little bang thing cut off. What is it? They cut the bib off of a baseball cap. What's that all about? What is that called? Not a kufi. What is that called? And I only see it in Afghanistan. I guess it's some kind of rank, I guess. I don't know, but it's enough to show you little bangs.
The traditional Afghan cap is called the pakal.
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 Would you wear one?
Sure would.
You would.
Pretty stylish.
I just don't know. I don't know. It's not too manly.
There's another one called a Peshwari topi.
Peshwari topi. I know they must mean something.
Manly for them.
I might be poking fun. I know if they saw me with this is called a flat cap. If you saw me with this on, they probably go, what's with the bill?
Do you sell newspapers?
No, I don't sell any newspapers.
You don't sell newspapers?
Well, why'd I have to? This a newspaper cap?
It's a newspaper boy cap. Do you sell newspapers?
Well, I would just want you to know if that's the kind of cap.
Do you have a bicycle with the newspaper?
I don't have a bicycle.
You don't have a newspaper bicycle with the newspaper?
So you have to wear a cap like that when you have an AK? That's an AK cap?
How would I know that you have newspapers if you did not have the cap on your head? Where is the newspaper? I want the news.
What is the cap?
I want the news.
I don't know who you are anymore.
Where is the newspaper?
Where did you get all that garb? I try to come here. Will you stop? You're going to get us in trouble. Don't start that.
Why?
Because, I guess we want you to know. I
believe God is the greatest.
I know God is great. There's no doubt. Assalamu alaikum. I know all of that. We're not kidding.
We can't say that, Kevin.
However, we are pretty much, wouldn't you say we are equal opportunity insulters?
Absolutely. We talk about Christians all the time.
No one complains when we
We're going to talk about Christians later.
We don't talk about God.
Well,
I want you to listen to just how Joe laid this out. This is presidential. This is honorable. Buck stops here. He's not going to get on and try to, be Mr. Man, pretend that the conservative kind of huff and puff. Yes, we got him. We knock him out. Do you realize that Donald John actually allowed close to 30-some-odd rockets to hit on a U.S. military base in Iraq, and he did nothing. And had not the Iraqis shot down their own plane, and he tried to take credit for that. And right now, even now, there are guys who are suffering because of brain damage and so forth as a result. I thank God that we've been losing one. I personally think we did, but that's neither here nor there. The man wasn't honorable. So Joe went into this, and he said, look, let me just go through all of these, because some of you didn't hear it. You need to hear it. It's not that I just love Joe Biden, by no stretch. But you got to give credit where it's due. It was presidential. It was honorable. He explained very clearly that, double impeached Donald John had cut this deal, was supposed to have been out by May of this year. He pushed it back to August because logistics weren't there.
When I came into office, I inherited a deal that President Trump negotiated with the Taliban. Under his agreement, U.S. forces would be out of Afghanistan by May 1, 2021, just a little over 3 months after I took office. U.S. forces had already drawn down during the Trump administration from roughly 15,500 American forces to 2,500 troops in country. And the Taliban was at its strongest militarily since 2001. The choice I had to make as your president was either to follow through on that agreement or be prepared to go back to fighting the Taliban in the middle of the spring fighting season. There would have been no ceasefire after May 1. There was no agreement protecting our forces after May 1. There was no status quo of stability without American casualties after May 1. There was only a cold reality of either following through on the agreement to withdraw our forces or escalating the conflict and sending thousands more American troops back into combat in Afghanistan, lurching into the third decade of conflict. I stand squarely behind my decision.
Good for you. You agree with that, Cheryl Davis? You're not. If you don't, you should. He's right.
Yeah.
He's right. Ladies and gentlemen, we never declared war on Afghanistan. We never declared war on the Taliban. We weren't there to wipe out the Taliban. I don't doubt we could have. There's no doubt. I don't doubt that there's some military personnel who would prefer that. Why don't we just go in and kill them all? Good. I mean, these guys didn't have an Air Force, bro. They didn't have a Navy.
No.
Didn't have a satellite. They weren't even wearing body armor.
No.
You know, for the most part, as sheep herders by day, fighters by night. But they fight very well. They have the resolve. You know why? They live there. That's why every other major army that's gone in there has not defeated them. Well, why? I tell you why. They live there, and they like it. The rest of us are kind of going, who like this tawdry little place? It's too mountainous to walk on. I mean, nothing but a goat but like this. It's just not a whole lot there, bro. I mean, it's not the vacation capital of the world. I mean, you think of, well, I wonder what's in Afghanistan. I wonder what's there. I wonder if I can go see the Mammoth Caves.
Mountains and poppies. And maybe giants.
But they love it. It's home for them, and I appreciate that. And so in this dream last night, ladies and gentlemen, I thought to myself, okay, here's the strategy. 'Cause I'm a strategist. I never give up. Just as an aside, if you're pursuing business, if you're pursuing anything in your life, you only give up when you stop. Until, if you don't stop, then you've not given up. I want you to understand that. And then you ask yourself, why give up when you can continue? So I never give up. So I thought to myself, if I was there in Kandahar, if I was there in Afghanistan, what would be my secret weapon against the Taliban? It could be, there was a movie called Lion of the Desert. What's his name? Greek. Anthony Quinn played in it. One of my favorite actors of all time. An incredible thespian. I love him when he played, I think, Jimmy the Greek or something like that. He played one of these movies, and they were doing the dance, and of course, it was filmed there in the Greek islands. But this was about, he was playing an Arabian terrorist, for lack of a better way, and they were fighting against, I think, either the British or the Australians or someone, another occupier. And so he Anthony Quinn said this. It's one of his favorite lines in this. They might own it during the day, but it's ours in the night. He said that, and it was so. I always remember that as just as a strategy, and so I thought to myself that maybe that's what's happening here. I didn't see not one uniform, American uniform, from these guys. These 300,000. It was 300,000 guys Joe Biden said we had that trained, and there was only 30 to 40,000 Taliban, according to them, those hardened warriors. That's 10 to 1. So why didn't I see any uniforms? So I thought to myself, these guys are hiding out. Maybe even hiding on the burkas. All of them very, very armed. Just letting the Taliban overstretch themselves. And it's hard to run an entire country. So just letting them come out of the hole. That's what you do with rats. You let them come out of the hole first. You'll never defeat them when they're in their holes. Because a poor rat don't have but one hole. You know what I mean? They have different holes, bro.
Yeah. Options.
So you let them come out, and they let them build some confidence that somehow or another they're running things like the insurgents did to our guys there in Fallujah and in Iraq. You remember that?
Well,
let them get comfortable, come out, and then at night you kill them. I'm sorry, I couldn't make up anything else. Or for that matter, what you do is you arm the women with these incredible sabers, and you behead them every night. I thought to myself, there's got to be a strategy here, because surely the guys who are in uniforms got to know. Well, they were seen in uniform. Did they go out and burn the uniforms? The boots. So I'm thinking to myself, yeah, there's some that they have all kinds of subterranean taverns and so forth, and maybe the 300,000 folks now, instead of liquidating and becoming, because they're still getting paid. You know that, right? They're still getting paid
by
the United States government.
Okay.
They were on our payroll, and they have been on our payroll the whole time. We've been paying for them to fight for their freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Really? Really?
Biden spoke to that as well yesterday.
We spent over $1 trillion. We trained and equipped an Afghan military force of some 300,000 strong, incredibly well equipped, a force larger in size than the militaries of many of our NATO allies. We gave them every tool they could need. We paid their salaries, provided for the maintenance of their Air Force, something the Taliban doesn't have. Taliban does not have an Air Force. We provided close air support. We gave them every chance to determine their own future. We could not provide them was the will to fight for that future. There's some very brave and capable Afghan special forces units and soldiers. But if Afghanistan is unable to mount any real resistance to the Taliban now, there is no chance that 1 year, one more year, 5 more years, or 20 more years, the U.S. military boots on the ground would have made any difference.
Amen to that. I'm going to give you the bell. Who disagrees with that? Call me. He's right. You give them all this stuff, you do all this, and you won't fight, and you still want us there? Oh, no. You know, you get off the C-130. What is it, a C-1, C-17? You know, the folks just grabbed hold to the side of the plane and see. Do you know I saw a guy running on the tarmac with Air Force Ones? How much are those, bro? I guess he had them in the right place. They on the tarmac. I mean, that's why you got to wear those big old shoes. How much are Air Force Ones? That's Kanye's shoes, isn't it?
No. No, the Air Force is one of the older Nikes.
Well, what was
and
it?
It really depends on what you want, but you're looking at about $100 out the door for a low top.
Oh, is it? Well, he was running there in his skirt, and then it was I don't know what you call it.
It is not a skirt. It is not a skirt, and I am still waiting for my newspaper.
I don't have no damn newspaper.
Well, then take off your hat.
Do they wear caps like this? The newspaper man?
No, that is an American trend. But now very confusing because you have no newspaper.
I am not looking at you. Guy running around with a rag around his head.
I want to be informed. I need to be informed.
All right, so the guy with the Air Force Ones running down the tarmac, did he actually thought that if he had Air Force Ones on the tarmac, he'd fly? Is that what that was all about?
I don't think that's what that was about.
Look, I'm not poking fun. Look, listen to me.
This is the C-17?
Yeah, the C-17. Let me just tell you this. There's horrible people getting on and then jumping out the planes. But the reality is he would have had a better chance grabbing a gun and fighting the Taliban.
Yeah.
What is your options? Let's see. Let me think about this.
Well, I mean, they packed about 700 in that plane. So.
You got 15 to 20, 30,000 people on the tarmac trying to get on the planes. And look, I got you. I know they want to leave. Where were the guns? Where are the guys in the military? Their guns were somewhere, bro. I don't see this like Saigon at all. Ladies and gentlemen, I watched Saigon. At the time that it had fallen, I was we were actually preparing to go to Fort Polk. Be quite certain. Until 1973, nothing even remotely close to this. Nothing even remotely close. There was a lot of carnage, ladies and gentlemen. The Tet Offensive had left 58,000 in total. 58,000 Americans dead in Vietnam. And it was very offensive. It was Ho Chi Minh came down with a vengeance. And guess what? What you found was a lot of those individuals who were being occupied there in South Vietnam, in Saigon, started to turn on the very Americans who were there. You know, your friends weren't again. Do you realize it was only 2 months ago, Ro, that we had a friendly, I guess you can call him that, an action officer, turn on his American captors. I'm sorry, he saw them as captors. I don't know what it was to you and I, but if you're occupying, if you're there and you're not supposed to be there, but I mean, literally shot, what was it, 3, 4? A serviceman? What caused it? Well, let's just say he's in his country and he was insulted and had a gun.
Simple as that.
So I'm impressed with Joe. If you're not, you can call me. We can chat about it. I don't have a problem with that. I really don't. But I'm going to show you something. I showed it to you before. I'll show it to you again. Let's see if I can get this out. We're going to reach out to him. You see that right there? At the bottom there, you're going to see that's money actually from Iraq. But this, ladies and gentlemen, is a flag that was sent to me by a dear friend who was there. This flag, that flag right there, was one of the many flags that certifies. This is a certificate. See that right there? That's a certificate. See the little stamp? He just threw in that Iraqi Saddam Hussein money. I don't know what it's worth anything now. This is a certified that the accompanying American flag was flown by the 3rd Special Forces Group airborne over the Combined Joint Special Operations Task Force Base, Camp Bagram Air Base, Afghanistan, during Operation Enduring Freedom, September the 11th, 2003. In honor of WJZD FM 94.5. And it was signed off on. And this dear friend, ladies and gentlemen, was made it out. And we're going to talk to him, only because we should. He left some of his service members who were there. Well, he didn't leave them there. They lost their lives there. And this will be forever cherished by one Rip Daniels. I don't doubt when you hear from him, you will understand very, very well what Joe Biden was talking about when he said that if they won't fight for it, why should Americans die for it? And when you listen to conservatives come out and try to talk about the fiasco and it's bad and blah, 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 you need to ask yourself, you want to send your boy over there to die for someone who don't want to fight for their own damn freedom? You think they're worth it? I don't have anything against the Afghans. I have everything for them. It's their country. They will run it the way they should, and they'll have their own little civil wars. I really think it's going to spin out of control. I think all the tribesmen, there's no centralized Taliban force. Right now, the so-called leader is a former judge. At least that's the one that we're saying is a leader, but you realize you very rarely see one person. Every one of those provinces is going to turn into a chaotic situation. I guarantee you that. And that is the way they want it. By the way, for those of you who are thinking that they're just too over and extreme, the Sharia law, one of our greatest allies still has Sharia law. It's called Saudi Arabia. Ladies are still in burqas. Just thought you should know. Oh, they'll let them drive. Notice I said let them.
Yes, let.
With permission. All right, quick break. It's going to be a full and fun day. And yes, prepare to be informed, whether you like it or not. We'll be back.
Get the info. Stay informed. It's a new day with Rip Daniels, the #1 talk show in South Mississippi on JZ 94.5.
It's the Rock in the building. Khalid, Ramel, Terrell in the house. Yes. Live from United States, Brooklyn, New York. It's your boy. Young. The nephews is in the house. As soon as the beat drop, we got the streets locked overseas. A Punjabi MC in the rock. I came to see the mom.
That's not Afghan. That
is not Arab.
That's Indian, isn't it?
This is not even Indian. Turn it off right now. Thank you.
Jeez.
What are you trying to do? Punjabi MC is not Arab. He's not even really Indian. He's
well,
from.
Don't blame me. Blame Ro.
I am blaming Ro. I'm yelling directly in Ro's face and pointing my finger vigorously. He is from the United Kingdom. What are you trying to do?
I'm trying to do a show here.
I'm talking to Ro. What are you trying to do?
Why do you have to shout?
Because I need him to hear me, and the fury in my voice is conveyed by higher tones.
You know, I can see that that's a fake beard. It's a rubber band and hair. That's not even a real beard.
I grow my beard and my face in a lot.
Why do you have to wear this stuff? Why can't you just be the person?
Ro has a problem with absorbing and becoming the characters if he does not practice method acting. He has to have props and things because he's really not that good of an actor. Yeah. I know.
I know you know because you I can't look at you. Will you take that off? What is it? A mask with a beard on it?
I grew this in 2 days.
You didn't grow it. All right, good morning, folks. Rip Daniels here. Thank you for joining us. Look, don't give me some sob story about Afghanistan. I'm sorry, you're not going to get it here. I mean, I don't want to see anybody killed, you know? So the way to keep from being killed is to be prepared to defend yourself. I mean, that's how I come along, and that's not being macho. That's having common sense. Actually, one Malcolm X said that, and he was very, very accurate. I want you to go to our Facebook page. The local paper did this, and we're going to participate. There were several questions asked regarding Dictator Reeves, which we'll probably talk to later on. And they got quite a few responses asking about whether Reeves has done a good job. Now, see, this leads into what I suggested yesterday, and that's this. These bonehead conservatives, kook conservatives, think that they're getting the greatest support among Republicans. They are not. They're just hearing from the loudest quacks. Anybody who's jumping up and down about a mask while children are dying is just a quack. Conservative. But they're hearing from them. They'll tweet and all of that, and that's what they're going by. When really, most Republicans are like, no, these guys are crazy. Yeah, I'm putting a mask on my child. Now, you can always get a permission slip and send it with your child and say, he can't wear a mask because he likes his snotty nose. Or he has breathing problems. Okay, well then there are adjustments we can make. He doesn't have to wear a mask, but he's going to have to take his classes outside. That okay with you? But I want you to do it. We're going to go through this survey. So go to our Facebook page. Simple question, Ro, is do you think that Reeves, just grade Reeves.
How would you grade his response?
How would you grade his response? F through A, maybe? I don't like that scale of 1 to 10. And we're going to tell you some of the results here. But I want to go to Miss Ruthie, who's been extraordinarily patient.
Just Ruthie.
Hi, Jess.
Good morning.
Hi, Jess.
How is everybody?
I'm doing excellent, Miss Ruthie.
Good.
Ruthie.
Good morning, Ruth.
Just Ruby.
Just
okay.
Is it Ruby or Ruthie? I see Ruthie on my.
Ruby. R-U-B-Y.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Mr.
We are both in the wrong.
Yeah, right. No, you are. You are.
We are.
No, you are.
All right, children, play nice.
Hi, Ruby.
Okay, I'll make it quick. I have a teenager, a 15-year-old, and I think maybe some people need to explain it to the adults in the room as I do my teenager. Anything that comes on the news, we discuss. When COVID came out, we did research together, we discussed. So when this came up, I called him in the room after when everything's going on because I want him to be the person who gets their opinions from information and not from somebody selling a pillow. So I told him about what was going overseas, in over in the Gulf there. And he said he didn't understand. Why do we leave those people? Look how they're hanging onto the plane. Oh, my gosh, look at that. And I said, okay, let me explain something to you. If you've got a friend, a new friend, living over in Texas, I said Texas because he knows people there. Mm-hmm. They've got a fight going on over a piece of dirt. I mean, it's where your line is and my line is or whatever it is. You go over there. You give them all the tools they need to take care of themselves. You give them all the information, the training, everything. But what they do is they're sitting back watching TV while you're doing everything. And again, this is on, teenager level, preteen or whatever. So he said, so they didn't even want to fight? I said, well, no. I said, we were doing the fighting. I said, and they were like in there with us, not taking everything from them. I said, but when the bad guys came in the end, they were like, oh, we're not ready to fight now. Well, when are you going to be ready? I told them, I said, we can't keep people over there keeping the peace for them. We're losing lives. And they're not willing to participate in their own civil war. I feel sorry, well, not sorry, I feel empathy for them. And I hate that this happened, but I feel like we've given them every opportunity. I personally I'm a veteran myself, and I was offered to come back doing Desert Shield because of my security clearance, but I had a young child at the time, so I couldn't go back. And I told him, if I sign that blank check, I sign that blank check for whatever happens while I'm in. I said, but I feel like Joe Biden did something that Barack Obama should have done. And I'm an Obama fan now, but I don't go blindly for anybody.
I understand.
Obama should have done this.
Yep.
And the failed one-term, twice impeached Trump should have. He brought it up, and from what I saw, he just didn't follow through on it. I think it was more of a big bluster for his guys to think he's the macho man more than anything. But it's just as simple as that. You can't fight someone's battle and keep losing your people over and over and over again where they're not willing to lose some of theirs. When the war during the North and South came, people lost people.
Yeah.
When it was over,
Yep.
the victor was there.
Yep.
That's it. To the victor goes the spoils.
8,000 African Americans came off the plantation in Mississippi, and their graves over there in Vicksburg. Not all of them from Mississippi, of course, but there are 8,000 black men who fought for their freedom without any guarantee that they would, in fact, win it. But they knew it was better than enslavement. So you're absolutely right.
But
Good bell. Give you
do.
a bell. What was that?
I said, but that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
You got to be willing to fight your own battle. You got to be willing. And he says, but Granny, you were in the army, so you know. I said, that's not just the army, baby. That's not just the army.
Yeah.
If you've got something worth fighting for, you're going to fight.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You're going to fight. I said, I think they just have gotten a little too comfortable with us. And as you guys were saying, where are the uniforms? Where are the guns? What did you do with them? It reminds me of, and I know I'm going to misquote this, I want to say when I was young, Iraq, Iran, somebody we gave stuff to, and they turned on us. I can't remember now.
Oh, that was the Mujahideen. Ronald Reagan, the Russians were in Afghanistan, and so the Mujahideen was fighting against them, of which one, Osama bin Laden, was participating, and that's when we gave him the Stinger missiles. And it worked. After 10 years, the Russians had lost 10,000, and they were forced out of Afghanistan, but the Mujahideen were the predecessors to, Al-Qaeda.
Yeah, that's just off the top of my head. I was very young. I think that was my first time I voted in an election.
Yeah.
I was during that time. But I do remember that. And it's like, how many times did we step up to the plate, which is great. We're Americans, and I know we do. But we can't be everybody's mama. We can't be everybody's big sister, big brother, but we got to fight everybody's battle. We've got so many things going wrong here. We've got people storming our Capitol. We've got stuff here that we need to address. We can't spend all of our resources over there anywhere. And that's not meant to, and I know it sounds so harsh, oh gosh, but life is harsh.
Yeah. Amen to that. Thank you for your service, Miss Ruby. I really appreciate that.
Have a great day.
Yeah, you too.
All right.
We'll be back.
Get the info. Get the info. Stay informed. It's a new day with Rip Daniels, the #1 talk show in South Mississippi on JZ 94.5.
You know what time it is. Radio. You know what this is. Danger! Danger! Get on the floor. The feeling right here. Sing it.
Been so long.
Sing it.
He's been on. So
Get on the floor.
show me
The feeling right here.
what you wanna see.
New Orleans' very own Mystical here, folks. So the chairman of the Democratic Party now is wanting Dictator Reeves to reinstate the mask. This is the first time I heard from him. Need to reach out to him. Where is he? Tyree Irving is his name. Usually you would know the Democratic chairman or the Republican chairman, or especially national level. Now you don't know. Tells how popular these folks are, but I am going to reach out to him because I think we should. And to the person who wanted me to weigh in or took issue with me, I had several of you took issue with me because I was very critical of a person, or a man who's thrown his hat in the ring to run for office, a brother that I know who texted me. So I will give you my thoughts, and I will allow you to retort with when it comes down to former Mayor Johnny Dupree. But I want to go to my friend Kemp here if I can. He allowed for Miss Ruby to step in front, and I appreciate that, Mr. Kemp. How you doing, brother?
Thank you, Miss Ruby, for your service. I really enjoyed that conversation. Mr. Daniels, John F. Kennedy said that victory has 100 fathers, but defeat is an orphan. So everybody wants to parade after they win these so-called wars. But defeat is not pretty, and that's what this was. We took an L for these 20 years.
Really?
But I will say this.
Whoa. I got to ask you on this. So what was the purpose of being in Afghanistan?
There was no purpose. That's why we took an L.
Well, no, the purpose was to get Osama bin Laden. I mean, that was the thought that after 9/11 in 2003 that they wanted to go in and get Osama bin Laden. That's what we thought he was.
That was the perceived purpose. That was never the mission of any military general, and they will tell you that. They've actually had him in their sights at one time. Okay, the news makes Osama bin Laden. There are hundreds of Osama bin Ladens. We just needed a bad guy to target and frame a war. So, I mean, let's keep that in mind. We just like one guy to
I disagree with that completely. I disagree with that completely.
I understand that. But if you ever go to the region and you understand they're the neighbor of Pakistan, which is what we're not talking about.
Yeah.
We're talking about a neighbor that has nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
All right. So if you want to get into the reason of the entire military scope, why NATO and the United Nations and everybody else has an interest in that area, then we can talk about that. As far as the United States goes,
I think it was ill-conceived. You and I both agree it's ill-conceived. The idea of invading and occupying Afghanistan certainly was ill-conceived by Bush.
Let me remind my American friends that we're occupied here in Mississippi. Okay, we were ran by the Taliban down here. Okay, Alabama and Georgia ran by the Taliban.
I like that.
If you drive through anywhere in the South and you look at all these military installations, there's a reason why there's so many down here and not in the Midwest and out west in this country. We're still occupied in Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia. And if you don't believe me, let Tate Reeves, DeSantis, Kemp, Miss Cade next door, the fool out in Texas, let them take over after the federal government leave this area. And don't you see that the Taliban be running this area? Okay, you need to understand what occupation does to a society. And my only concern with this, as a former nuclear weapons specialist, is what Pakistan is doing. Okay, Pakistan has nuclear weapons, and you want to know what those 300,000 soldiers are? They've been recruited by the Taliban. Now, if you look at the history of Afghanistan and Pakistan, you'll know that the Taliban has been wanting to take over Pakistan. And if they got 300,000 soldiers who have been trained by the best army in human history, we got a problem. All right? So that's not what we're talking about.
So you think they're hiding out in the mountains there in the on the borders of Pakistan and Afghanistan, just waiting?
They're not hiding out. They've been taken by the Taliban. They told them 15 years ago, look here, bro, just wait these Americans out, get all their weapons, get their training, and then join us. And then we'll take over Pakistan and have nuclear weapons. And then that's a problem for the rest of the world. That's what the news is not telling you. They're not talking about Pakistan for that reason. Just go back to the history and look at the relationship between Afghanistan and Pakistan, again, who is a nuclear-armed country.
Well, there's no doubt about that, but there's no doubt that as well that there's some significant differences in religious between most of Pakistan and, of course, Afghanistan. And
I
those
agree
differences.
With that, Mr. Daniels, but any religious, we got religious zealots running here. Again, the Taliban are religious zealots. Okay, Tate Reeves, Kemp, DeSantis, they're all Talibans ran by religion. Christianity and Muslim is no difference when you're extreme. They're all extremists. They have the same line of thought. They don't want you in charge of your radio station. They don't want me over here helping kids in these Biloxi. And they damn sure don't want nobody in the government. The same thing with the Taliban. The Taliban is the same conservative trope.
Yeah.
Keep the people of color, in their place. Don't educate the women and children, and let us take over everything. And so again,
can't say I disagree with that.
I'll call you back when we start talking about those nuclear weapons, because again, your news not telling you that. That's the boogeyman. That's why Mr. Obama was over there. He's a very intelligent person.
Yeah.
And you'd have to wonder, why would such an intelligent person keep us in a war over there? It's because of those access to those weapons that are floating around over there.
All right. Appreciate your calling, Kim. 228-896-9455. So, yeah, you did hear me right, to the person that emailed me regarding my position against Johnny Dupree. You did hear me right. And I will read parts of your email regarding my criticism and your criticism of me. I don't have a problem with that. Quick break. We'll be back.
WJZD FM Long Beach, Waveland, Goshen, Gulfport, the all-new JZ 94.5.
This is blues power.
That's some picking right there.
Everybody understands the blues.
Yeah, we do. Like picking
Are you
cotton.
listening?
That's why you can pick that guitar.
I say everybody understands the blues.
Got to be able to get that finger
Everybody from one day to another has the blues.
on the cotton and not the bowl.
You take the little baby that's laying in the cradle. He can't get that milk bottle fast enough. He go to kicking and crying and going on, tearing up the little baby bed. He got the blues. Can you dig it?
I can dig it.
You take this girl that's got this main squeeze. That's her boyfriend, that is, you know. And he just bought a brand new GTO.
Mm-hmm.
You know she want to be with him every time he cranks it up and go around the corner to the soda fountain.
You don't know what a GTO is, do you?
Go and show it off while
Or a
all
soda
the
fountain,
guys
for that
and
matter.
gals be, you
I do know a GTO.
And she get ready to go out this particular night, and her mother said, "Daughter, you was just out last night. You can't go out tonight. That's too many nights in a row."
Mm-hmm. Had to ask her mama. Too many
She
nights
go
in
in
a
the
row.
room and fasten the door and won't answer the phone, won't eat, won't talk to nobody. She got the blues.
There you go.
That's what's wrong with her.
That's what's wrong with it.
Some people call them the reds, the pinks. When you get through, it's the old-fashioned country blues.
All right,
That's
that
right.
was little Albert
I used
King
to
there,
eat my
folks.
main squeeze and
Well, you know, those old blues songs, they tell it, don't they?
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
They don't rap it.
No.
They're not just looking for a rime.
No, I ain't gonna talk to you some.
All right, good morning, folks. Rip Daniels here. Thank you for joining us. The show is called It's a New Day. There's only one rule now. There's no such thing as a right or wrong opinion. Went to an incredible meeting last night. My thanks to the ACLU for putting it on, and for Sonia Williams for putting it all together, being the facilitator of the whole thing. And it turned out, big turnout there at Good Deeds. And it's time for these meetings to start because it's all about numbers, ladies and gentlemen. When it comes down to who gets elected, it's all about numbers. And before you get to the election, you've got to figure out what district you're in and where you are and how many numbers think like you. And it was very, very good. You're going to hear a lot more about that. It's reapportionment time, ladies and gentlemen, and that's after every census, then what happens is the lines are redrawn if there has been a significant change, and there has been a significant change, especially here in Harrison County and in Hinds County. Some is for the plus, some is for negatives. So you need to start this now, and I'm not going to labor it at this point, but every opportunity you get to go to a meeting about reapportionment and determining how you're governed, because these lines determine who will be elected from where, right? Neighborhoods don't stay the same. They change, and therefore the boundaries change. What happens is people move, and when people move, then they have got to have representation. So I want to, I certainly want to deal with that, but I'm going to get into this email because it's about numbers as to why I take the position I take with my associate, and I call him associate. I don't know him close enough to be a friend, but I don't doubt he could be. We've had a lunch a time or two there at the Almanac when he was running for other offices, and I've supported him in other races way back when. But I'm not supporting him now. And it's not that I'm supporting someone else. I'm not supporting Johnny Dupree, because Johnny Dupree should be tired of losing. And I know that's very, very blunt. I'll get into more details about my bluntness in just a few, but I received an email from a young lady who was very taken aback by the fact that toward the end of yesterday's show that I came out and I criticized this quote-unquote black man for the fact that he would run. And she goes on to say it's not necessarily that I think you should support him because he's black, but we need to get beyond criticizing other quote-unquote black men in public. Primarily because it just doesn't look good, Rip, and you're bigger than that. Yeah, I am. He should be big, too, to admit. That's okay, but I'll continue. So she explained some of the things that the Honorable Johnny Dupree has done, the things he's done. I mean, for the most part, been mayor of Hattiesburg. Before that, he was, I think, on the city council. But outside of that, But she goes on to say that we should not discredit the fact that even President Barack Obama became president when many thought he couldn't win. Ma'am, you're right. I thought he couldn't win, but I supported him. Deep down inside, I wanted him to win. And that might be a little difference, and you might be afraid of where that goes. But I thought that the America that I knew then would never vote for a man whose name Obama, middle name Hussein, Barack Hussein Obama, and a real African American. I mean, really from Africa. His daddy from Africa, and his mama here, and she is Caucasian. Oh, it spoke volumes to me, bro. I thought it didn't stand much chance, but I think he stands a better chance. He stood a better chance than Johnny Dupree at this point. I'm sorry. I digress. I have nothing against him. And then she goes on to, and I'm not going to read all of it in detail, she goes on to say, well, what if you're wrong? What if, in fact, he does have a chance? And what if he should win? To which I would say, congratulations. She also suggests that I would just as soon support the Republican conservative over Johnny Dupree, and that's where you're wrong, ma'am. That's where you're wrong. You know, my emphasis here, when it comes down to the district that Johnny would represent, which would be my district. What is this district? What, 4, 3? Stephen Plazo's district. I had it here, and it's just escaped me. I'm sorry. I don't know. Well, let's see, where is it? I found out which district. It's my district, and typically I have all that on the tip of my tongue, and I just can't remember. But he would represent me as well.
4th district.
The 4th district. I knew it was something like that. So I must tell you, ma'am, my reasons for suggesting that I would not vote for him, and I really would hope that many of you would ask him not to run. I mean, how many times you got to lose? And my reason for suggesting that I would vote Republican is a strategy. You see, ladies and gentlemen, we as a people have to we've got to realize that the extremists on both sides will rule if we don't vote for and elect people who are moderate. Individuals who, it's not about Republican or Democrat, it's about whether or not you're moderate enough to say, you know what, here's a good idea. And it doesn't have a Republican stamp, it doesn't have a Democratic stamp, it has a Mississippi stamp. We have, ever since Fordyce, we have, this state has given up its control to the National Republican Party. Look, after that was Atwater, then became Haley Barbour. I know the story. Let me tell you, if it's anybody I know my enemy. And the enemy of Rip Daniels, and I think the enemy of this nation, are those in that conservative mindset. Now, don't go thinking because you say you're conservative, that's the same mindset of the good old boys. These are real good old boys. These good old boys that will flip the script on you and have you thinking, yes, I'm conservative. But you're just saying it because you want to get in the club or the deer camp. You're not going to the same golf club as the double impeached Donald John. You're not even going to get close. And you're not going to have a burger with him. But he wants you to think you do, which is why you'll say that. But I know exactly the mindset of that group, that the same group that brought to this country so many degradations. So many degradations, just born out of their own fears of the peasants. You and I, getting along. They hate multiculturalism. Hate that more than they hate so-called big government, because they don't hate big government when big government is giving the money to them so that they can then just distribute it. But I digress. The thing that really hurts me about my position with Johnny Dupree is that he has lost so many things. He ran for governor, he lost, right? Lieutenant governor. He can't even win his own city back. He lost to an independent. And what the Democratic Party needs more than anything else now, what moderation needs now more than anything else, is a win in Mississippi. My God. I mean, how many times you got to lose before you realize folks don't support you? And it becomes, in some cases, a means of making money. Raise some money, and then, of course, you don't win. You convert all the money that you made, the contributions, becomes yours. Now, look, I would gladly have this conversation, but I'm going to be very blunt about it. And I don't doubt that he'll reach out to me very soon, and some of you might want him to, and that's fine. I don't see a pathway to winning here. for one Johnny Dupree. I just don't. Be it he runs as a Democrat, be it he runs as an independent. I see throwing crap in the game. I think Stephen Palazzo needs to go, Republican, Democrat, or otherwise, or even independent. I really think what is his replacement, his adversary there in Hattiesburg, the mayor of Hattiesburg, was it Opie? I can't think of it. It looks like it kind of reminds me of Opie Taylor. Sounds like that. The mayor of Hattiesburg.
Toby.
Toby, yeah.
Toby Barker.
Toby Barker. I think he stands a better chance. I really do.
Yeah.
I think he stands a much better chance. I don't think.
Why though? Because he's younger. Because he's white.
Well, I think because he's governing Hattiesburg well. I talked to friends. I had a lot of friends there, a lot of African American friends. I don't think that Johnny Dupree can defeat him. Remember, it was a very close race, and now it is.
Barker ran as an independent to defeat Dupree too. By the way.
What was that again?
Barker ran as an independent.
Well, I know. That's what I said. He won as an independent against Johnny Dupree. So, ma'am, and I know that it breaks your heart, and I don't like being critical of another quote-unquote black man, but I think he needs to really reevaluate whether or not he's doing what's good for black people, end quotes. I'm hopeful that the cream will rise to the top, that there could be another individual that will come out of this area, out of District 4, preferably an African American who is winnable. See, that's going to be the key going forward. That's going to turn the corner in this state, particularly for African Americans. You've got to run, you got to win. You got to run, you got to win. Probably the closest we came close on many instances, but statewide, the most recent would be Mike Espy. And by the way, all due respect to Espy, I think you've run enough. You've lost enough. Look, I love you. We'll contribute to you. But now, if anything, you need to run for something lesser. It's time now for some new blood, some new invigorating blood. And look, let me just tell you, although I'm talking about these old timers, the reality is, I'm not seeing the 25 to 35-year-old brash individuals. I think Shaquay Lamamba has some promise. I do. He has name recognition. Maybe not to be governor as of yet or a statewide race, but, being within the legislature or Congress, I think there's a possibility. But I would hope that he would be in a different district outside of one Benny Thompson. I'm just at a point here whereby, if the Democratic Party is going to survive, and who is this, Tyree Irving? If he's going to survive, you got to pick some winners. And I'm not just talking about in cities. If it was me, I would declare the Democratic Party moot. And instead of running as a Democrat, run as an independent. I really, really would. And I know that there are those who don't like that, and you're thinking the strategy, they'll run as a Democrat and they'll run as a Republican. Because most black folks vote Democrat. Well, trust me on this. Toby Barker would not have become the mayor of Hattiesburg if that was so. Thad Cochran would not have been the senator before he died if that were so. If it's one thing that African Americans have demonstrated since Fannie Lou Hamer, we will vote for the person and not the party. We will do that. However, oxy-conservatives want you to believe quite the contrary. They want their minions to believe that, black folks are just going to always do this. Mm-hmm. And don't get me wrong, we're not trying to prove anything to y'all. We don't really give a damn what you think. We really don't. What we want is the people in who are going to do what's best for us. Now, you can play party politics and you can be indoctrinated to believe that Rush and Limbaugh or the Hannity boys got it all figured out. Negroes think like this. You can think that as a bigot. You'll be wrong. And it's for that I think we could win. Every time you have found conservatives overshoot their hand. Every time. Calhoun did it back during the Revolutionary War. The Jeff Davis and his boys did it during the Civil War. They overshoot their hand. They just think that everybody is convinced that the good old boy system is the best system. Until such time that poor white dirt farmer realizes, wait, this guy's not representing me. He's representing big plantations, big business. He's trying to convince me that it's better to to submit to the job creators when the job creators are doing everything possible to diminish my job and move it overseas. It's as serious as I'm looking at you. And look, that is starting to become very evident, particularly with this COVID thing where you've got Dictator Reeves was saying, y'all going out there. Don't wear your mask. I'm not going to mandate. I'm not going to shut it down. We're not going to take your freedoms. And that is just, they flipped the script. Oh, you're taking your freedoms when you're forced to wear a mask to protect everyone else. But you're not taking your freedoms when you tell a woman that you got to have a child that as a result of being raped by her father. That's not taking any freedoms. What, you think we stupid? Maybe some of y'all are, but our listeners are not that stupid. You're not taking any freedoms when you tell a business that they can't have and they can't require a vaccination or a test. Well, no, we're not going to allow businesses to do that. You can't just come up, well, yeah, we can.
Well, that's prohibiting the business's freedom to do it, right?
It's like saying, well, you can't have a drink unless you're 18 or 21. You realize that freedom doesn't mean that we all have access. Even that is regulated. So, ma'am, look, I went off on a tangent. I'm sorry you feel the way you do regarding my criticism of one Johnny Dupree. I am. On the other hand, surely you understand that I don't think he has a chance in hell. If he's done some polling to indicate that, okay, yeah, he could win District 4 as a Democrat, I'd like to see it. I've asked for it. Let's see your polling. Polling, ladies and gentlemen, is when a candidate will go out and just take a poll of 1,000. Actually, 5,000 would be better. You get a pollster to come in and do it. Maybe it costs $100,000. Well, maybe it costs about $40,000, $50,000, and you call, make some random calls just to see about your name recognition and whether or not you stand a chance in hell of winning. And by the way, some are accurate, some are not. But most can put you in the ball game as to whether or not you really do stand a chance here. It will take someone formidable to defeat Stephen Palazzo, and he needs to be defeated. He is a Trumplican. And besides that, he's a sorry representative. Even Republicans know he's a sorry representative. He doesn't represent this District 4 at all. Man doesn't have any meetings. He's just out for bucks, period. And by the way, I have met with Stephen Palazzo. I've been invited to some of his little coon meetings. Some of you just being invited, it makes all the difference to you. Not for me. It's much of nothing came out of that. So there you have it. I appreciate your at least giving me the benefit of the doubt and even calling me to task and disagreeing with me. I appreciate that. However, what I want is a winner. A strategy to win and defeat the kind of conservatism that's been holding this state back since day one. Be it Republican, be it Democrat, be it independent, doesn't make a difference. But it's time now for common sense to win in this state, folks.
Yeah, way past time.
Let me just tell you, just like I snatched down the Confederate battle flag, you got to snatch down these conservative idiots. I mean, you want to know what's been holding this state back? It's the same bygone era. Look at, Philip Gunn now, the speaker. Oh, yeah, we're going to do something with the flag. Philip, you've been sitting there all this time knowing damn well the flag was doing what it was doing. You were playing good old boy. So now he's going to take on Dictator Reeves, and I would prefer Philip over Dictator Reeves, but it's what and what. What's got to happen is we've got to pull this state out of the conservative good old boy grip. Because they don't want to progress. What they want is to control the 3-to-1 federal dollars that's coming here. And don't get it wrong. Don't get it twisted. There's a whole lot of federal dollars. Do you realize right here in this state during World War II, this state had the most military installations than any other state in the nation.
Wow, I did not know that.
I'm talking about in close to 20 some odd, just about every damn county of the 82 counties had a military installation. If it's one thing Mississippians know, we know that federal dollar in defense. And yeah, I don't mind telling you, disproportionately, we're dying in war, in serving in the military. What was it? D-Lo, I think, lost a significant number of people. A little small place there in Mississippi.
D-Lo, Mississippi?
D-Lo. I don't know why they call it D-Lo. Maybe it's because it's not too high.
Perhaps.
You ever been to D-Lo Flats?
I have not.
It's flat.
Makes sense.
They got rapids there, though. They've got, it's got literally rapids you can get on, and you could, they got rocks and so forth.
In D''Lo?
What is it?
D''Lo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got those quick fingers over there. See, that's why he's good.
Simpson County.
Simpson County. So that's my reason, ma'am. And I if somebody wants to take issue with it, you can. But it is time for a win. I tell you what else it's time for, and I saw this last night at the meeting. It is time for participation from your age group. Now, bro, I know you zoomed in on that meeting last night.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're between the ages of 25 and 35 or 25 and 40 and you are not participating in the electoral process, shame on you. That don't mean you have to run, but you should be voting with a quickness, because what is happening right now, you are putting the hands of your children. You're putting your children in the hands of those individuals who in many cases are not looking out for your children's best interests. I'm just going to tell you that. If COVID has showed us nothing at all, it has shown us the power of government, or the lack thereof, or the non-exertion thereof. You know, I'm not hearing the lion's share of those mayors or city councilmen expressing their opinions about this governor, like they express their opinions about their support of this governor. Oh, I can call them out. I mean, literally every so-called Republican mayor here along the coast, from Billy Hughes to the former mayor of Mossborn, being all ingratiated about just simply being at the dinner party, or hoping that that governor then will allow BP money to come here. That's what it all was about. Fofo understood that very well, which is why he ran as a Republican. Up until that time, he ran as a Democrat. No big deal, Fofo. I support you. He really isn't, because I like the man. I like Billy Hughes. He was one of the first individuals when we were going through the flag battle, who came out very critical of the existing state flag, and he was a state senator at the time. Well, basically he said it did not represent the modern thinking of Mississippians. He was right. We could have a better banner. It was the first time I actually reached out to him and complimented him on his position. But we just don't have these bold individuals that come out and say it. You know what? I know maybe some bad political consequences. Damn, come on. If Donald John taught you nothing at all, he should have taught you that by being honest, not being brash, not being blunt, countless blunt, or braggadocious, that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is saying, look, this right here, this is not how we do things. I have a greater commitment to my principles than I do any party. Greater commitment to my family than I do any country. And it's in that order. It is in that order. Now, some of you will put God, country, family. That's not real. The godly thing for me to do is take care of my family. Period. And if I don't have my family, then I don't need to find no country. I mean, you do understand that. Country only in as much as I got my family together. I'll buy a piece of land somewhere else if I got to. All right, 228-896-9455. You read the letter, Ro, so, I mean, you're young. You're in that age group I was talking about. I mean, Johnny Dupree, you've been here on countless number of occasions. You've seen him lose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely time for new blood, and time for someone to really be outspoken, because if anything, at least you'll garner the attention of those who you are trying to get to vote for you. I think that's another important lesson that, despite the methods with which he did it, Donald Trump did accomplish that in propelling himself to the White House. He spoke plainly to the emotions, in most cases the fears, the unfounded fears, of his base. But he did so without, wondering or worrying about the consequences, and really punking out every other opponent that he had, sometimes in real time, to their faces. So I'm not saying to not be a statesman and to act like that, but I think that saying exactly how those who would vote for you feel goes a long way, even if that might not necessarily be accurate. So yeah, there's got to be new blood, because after a certain time, when all these folks are still doing the same things, you'll wonder, well, how did we get to this point? And it's simply because you didn't participate up to that point. And if anything, I would say make sure when you do vote, when you can vote in a race that you wouldn't normally vote in. It gave me no greater pleasure than to walk up to Chris McDaniel, extend my hand, and him look at my hand, look at my face, look at my hand, and then walk in the opposite direction. Because whether he heard me on the radio or not is inconsequential. I knew for a fact where he stood as a man. He was not willing to shake the hand of a potential constituent. If he had shake my hand at that point, then, I might have a different story. I wouldn't have voted for him, but I might have a different story about it. But I don't.
All you had to do was skin and grin a little bit, bro. He would have shook your hand.
I just shook it. I looked him in his eyes. I extended my hand.
Well, you can't. You can't look him in the eye.
Well, here in Harrison County, Mississippi,
a
deal ain't done lest he shake my hand.
Well, you were acting biggity, and all you had to do was act like some of the folks north of Interstate 20 and bow your head. And
that's what it was supposed to be.
That's all you're supposed to do.
That's what it's supposed to be.
Go.
Would you want some peanuts, Mr. McDaniel? They got some broiled peanuts over there. I'll get you some peanuts if you want some, sir. You want something to drink? You want Coca-Cola with that? I'll get some broiled peanuts and Coca-Cola.
One other thing, and I'm just going to lay this out to you, ma'am. Let me tell you how the game plan that has been working with Republicans going back to Kirk Fordyce, who was the first, actually, conservative Republican to win the governor's mansion in quite some time, since Reconstruction. You realize the Lincoln Republicans actually ended at the end of Reconstruction. That's when you had Lynch and others who were part of the Mississippi legislature. So Kirk Fordyce goes in there and he develops his plan, right? Lee Atwater, of course, was the chairman of the Republican Party. Here's the plan. The plan is that you're going to run as a Republican. You're going to tap into that C word, conservative. And what you want to do is win in the primary. You win in the primary as a Republican, then you're going to win the general, because the Democrats will not be able to muster up enough money or enough support. You got to make conservatism another name for Caucasian. And they did that. The segregationists did it very well. Paul B. Johnson did it. Even Waller did part of it. Certainly, though, his predecessors, Theodore G. Bilbo, did it. So Caucasian and conservative became synonymous. Everybody knows it. Well, maybe Negroes don't know it. I know it. I'm telling you.
So wait, so you're saying that
in this state, white people will vote Republican, and you're going to be conservative, and it's another name for a Caucasian.
So would that work for a non-Caucasian candidate, you think?
Well, there's a very good question. I think that is probably very rare. But you do have a significant number, 20% of the Caucasians here in this state would prefer to vote for someone else, and not just a good old boy. I think even some of the lower good old boys would much rather not have a good old boy. But they run the risk of not being looked at as being Caucasian. And sometimes the only thing they've got going for them is that they're white, in quotes. But here's the game plan. Let's just go back with Johnny Dupree and you look at what happened in his bid for governor. And it's quite telling. Where was it? It was in 2011. 2011, he ran and won the Democratic primary. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you, he ran against Bill Luckett. Bill Luckett is the guy that is a partner with Morgan Freeman, and they have Ground Zero, the Blues Club. I know Bill, have chatted with him on several occasions, and he had run before. Bill Luckett had lost. But this time, in 2011, Johnny Dupree got into the race with Bill Luckett, and there was like 4 demos running for it. Johnny Dupree won. I had told Bill Luckett then that it's going to be tough because Johnny Dupree had gotten into the race. Johnny Dupree did not have a chance in hell. But these are Democrats. It's going to be a very broad field for the Democrats. Always a very broad field. You didn't have that. You did not have that when it came down to Republicans, because after all, they're going to look out for their own. They were running against, who was it? Phil Bryant. Well, as if fate would have it, Johnny Dupree got into a runoff with one Bill Luckett. Johnny Dupree got 55% of the votes. Luckett got 45% of the votes. 323,284 votes total was cast. That's how many was cast, right? Those are all Democrats. That's in the runoff election. Now, all this time, Phil Bryant, no big deal, had a nice little war chest. So Dupree wins, and then he goes up against Phil Bryant. He lost. Dupree lost 39% to 61%. That 348,617 votes, the 544 votes. 200 vote spread. Now, if you think the numbers don't matter, they do. Phil Bryant knew he would get this. He knew he would. Because, after all, I mean, conservative is another name for Caucasian, and Negro is another name for liberal. And everybody knows that. Now, how to win is in the primary. If Democrats were not, well, there's several ways to do this. And the way Fannie Lou Hamer would have done it would have been to actually vote in the Republican Party if, in fact, there was a more moderate Republican. Yeah, I mean, instead of running a Democrat. There were no Negro Republicans running in the days of Fannie Lou Hamer because there was no Republican Party, per se. And Fannie Lou and Stokely Carmichael and others understood that. And the way to win is to first infiltrate the party of record, the party that is the strongest, and encourage a more moderate candidate. And between the black folks and the moderate white folks, you can win, which resulted in one Bill Waller being elected governor of this state. Or for that matter, William Winter. Just saying. Quick break. We'll be back.
Get the info. Get the info. Stay informed. It's a new day with Rip Daniels, the #1 talk show in South Mississippi on Jay-Z 94.5.
They don't know I do it for the culture, oh man. They say I should watch the stuff I post, come on man. Say I'm turning big girls into pros, come on man. They say I get groupies at my shows, come on man. All the rumors are true, yeah. What you heard, that's true, yeah. Him and you, yeah. If you believe I do that, had to cut them all loose, yeah. Indy ain't no loose lips. Now they all tryna sue me. Psh, I don't give two lips. All the rumors are true, yeah. I've been in the bamboo, yeah. Focused on this music.
Is that a new Lizzo?
Man, he blew it. Last year I thought I would lose it.
New Lizzo.
On the internet, my smoothie cleanser might die. No, I ain't smashed Drake yet. Spending all your time trying to break a woman down.
Is that Cardi B?
Look, Cardi.
If you thought that I was ratchet with my hanging out, just wait until the summer when they let me out the house. Yep.
All right, folks, good morning to you. I like that sound.
Don't you? They look fantastic in this video, too, by the way. Pissing everybody off.
Do they?
Yeah, because Cardi is very pregnant and Lizzo is, well, Lizzo. But they love the way they look, and I do, too.
Look, what are you watching porn over there? What is this?
Not quite.
Good morning. Rip Daniels here. Thank you for joining us. The show is called It's a New Day. There's only one rule. No such thing as a right or wrong opinion. Good morning, Paso. El Paso, pardon me.
El Paso.
I tried to get there once. Tried to drive across Texas. I got tired. I had to stop in San Antonio and turn around.
I don't blame you.
The heck with Mammoth Cave.
How many tumbleweeds did you see?
Geez, that's just that you start driving on I-10, don't ain't like you're getting anywhere.
You know what El Paso means?
Well,
step.
Step what?
Just step.
What is it with you? Fine, I'll take your word for it. Step. Okay, fine. All right, 228-896-9455. The numbers are in. We're rounding the corner of 3,500 people just diagnosed in the last 24 hours with COVID-19. 67 have died. While the governor is, dictator is still dictating. Let's go to Miss Faye. Miss Faye, good morning. Thank you for being patient.
Good morning. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing excellent, Miss Faye. You sound bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
Yes, I am, because one thing there is that what you're talking about, it rings true. Because what I'm concerned about is when we do actually vote. Because how much percentage is black people in Mississippi? How many of us here, miss? 40% or what?
Yes, ma'am. I'm inclined to believe we're probably pushing up about 48%, to be quite frank. But the numbers, I was listening at the ACLU last night, are not exactly accurate because, the former president stopped the counting in September as opposed to December. And so Nasambi Albright was indicating that we had a less than 60% response rate here in Mississippi, when generally the whole nation is 67% response rate to the census. In some counties, it's far worse. In some counties, it's 30% response to the census itself. So if you don't get respondents to the census, then you don't get an accurate count of the people who are here. So I don't trust this census nearly as much as others.
I don't either, because you just really don't know how many there really are. But what I'm concerned about is when Cindy Hingham High Smith won, and that was disappointing to me, because I want to know if there was it was thought that he would win. And then she won again because this rabbit head came to Biloxi to get a speech for her, and all of a sudden she wins. And
she defeated Mike Espy.
Disappointed. That disappointed me too, because he had a chance to win.
Yeah.
And then somebody dropped the ball. But anyway,
I can tell you who dropped the ball. Who dropped the ball are we who are voting age African Americans, because the turnout was not nearly what it should have been in any of the races. The greatest problem that Stokely Carmichael had back in the 1960s was convincing Negroes in the Delta that they had the power, which is why he developed the phrase Black Power. It was black voting strength, and he was very instrumental with motivating African Americans in and around Clarksdale and all the way down to Yazoo City and in around Sugar Ditch and so forth, Cleveland, Mississippi. He convinced African Americans, just count the number of y'all who are here. He convinced them that you have the power because you have the numbers. Unfortunately, in this state, you have more African Americans who believe that they are in the minority and so therefore can't win. Minor implies not major, and so therefore many just throw their hands up and say, well, they're going to do what they're going to do. It's not enough of us. And they're wrong, because I think if this census was accurate, it would show, especially that there was a significant increase in the number of African Americans and an extraordinary decrease in the number of Caucasians, not only in this state, but in the nation. That came out last night. But the problem comes, Miss Faye, with convincing black folks, in quotes, that they have the numbers.
Really, I see it like this. When we voted for president, early voting through the mail, it's important, too, because it was easier to people to do what they needed to do.
Yep.
And that's why they're trying to stop that. But anyway, I wanted to say that as far as COVID is concerned, my great-grandson's kindergarten teacher helped.
You hung up on me, Miss Faye. I wanted to hear that. Was she about to say the kindergarten teacher has COVID?
No, I hope not. If you can hear us call
Yeah,
us
that
back,
wasn't
Miss
us, Miss Faye. That was on your end, baby. I'm sorry about that. You can give us a call back. Quick break. We'll be back.
Get the info. Stay informed. It's a new day with Rip Daniels, the #1 talk show in South Mississippi on JZ 94.5.
Maybach music.
Godfather with a gun full of snakes. Car Porsche trying to give away a wraith. Bricks ball trying to turn them into base. Big boy, I may trying by the Braves. Courtroom
room silent like I'm in an opera. When they got it, now these wanna knock us. Follow cause they need a couple dollars. But it ain't a problem cause a nigga really got it. Fat boy, rich with an appetite. Count money all night under the candlelight. Spinning vinyl, Teddy P or is it Lionel? Not a model, but I know I've been your idol. Big bang sparking without a lighter. On fire cause I'm just a different writer. Practicing social distance with all these snitching. Guess he jealous cause I had his favorite with us. Big bucks, stepping out of big trucks. Stepping on my feet to get your up. Got the squad with me and all they did was give me love. Foot locker 20 deep and spin a dub. G-Wagon for my that girl go live it up.
All right, folks, good morning to you. Rip Daniels here. Thank you for joining us. Show it's called It's a New Day. There's only one rule. There's no such thing as a right or wrong opinion here, folks. I want to go back to Miss Faye. We got cut off there. And Miss Faye, you were about to say something about your kindergarten teacher for your grandchildren.
Yes, my great-grandson is in her class, and it's reported that she has COVID.
So you mean the teacher, instructor?
Yes.
So were all the kids, the students, wearing masks?
Yeah, they are wearing masks and everything, but I just really don't know because my great-grandson, he had fever this past Friday, and they sent him home or whatever it is. But one thing I don't understand is when the children are sent home and the parent takes them to the doctor, and the doctor will check them for strep. So why can't they go ahead and check the child for COVID also?
Well, why won't they? So they didn't? Did she request that they be checked for COVID?
I don't know because it was my granddaughter's son, so I don't know.
It's interesting. It's interesting because there was this is the second case of that. There was another little boy that I was familiar with that had a very bad fever and had to be taken to the hospital. Actually, I would have assumed that anyone who would have those symptoms would be tested for COVID. So that's kind of a curious situation. Have they stopped having I guess they've stopped having that class. All the other kids were quarantined, right?
Well, I don't know because the schools are still open, here. So I don't know what their plan of action is. But I think that when people jump the gun, just because we had the shot, and go ahead and open up schools so quick because it used to be school would open in September.
Right.
But now they're so rushed to get the school open that things are overlooked. They're not done. I mean, you got to prepare for kids to come back to school. It had to be deeply sanitized. They got to find out how the ventilation is and everything. So, I mean, it's just people complaining, and the teachers are complaining, too.
Well, they should. They should be.
He had hired so much things.
All right, Miss Faye. I said way back, last year this time, didn't I, Ro? Last year this time, I said, if you're going to start public schools in person, you got to require a test. And you can go to school. You got to require it. I don't know what is it with this requirement that conservatives now has adopted as being a game plan for politics. They are requiring, the government's requiring me to be tested. Next thing you know, they're going to be requiring us to be tested for everything. That's just bull crap. We have a medical emergency. That's what a pandemic is. And to promote the general welfare, as it says in the preamble, you come up with restrictions and some mandates. This is not anything new. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you the reason why your kids have to be vaccinated before they go to school is because of mandates. We figured out how to stop a pandemic, not only a pandemic, an epidemic, just in this country. And the way to do it is to test and then, if possible, develop a vaccine. But first you got to test. You got to say, okay, who's got it? And there's, at this point in time, instead of having a lackluster concept of, oh, yeah, well, it's out now, there's no sense in testing, that's exactly why we need to test, because it is getting more virulent. In other words, the virus is becoming more deadly. It's now attacking, listen to me, ladies and gentlemen, right here in this state, the number of under 50-year-olds, it's out of the box. Where is it? Where is it? I'll find it. The under 50-year-olds are now the greatest target of the Delta variant, which is why, ladies and gentlemen, I went ahead and got me a Johnson & Johnson vaccine. I can tell you that right now.
I think the chart you're looking for might be missing. There is a note on the page saying weekly data charts will be published later today. They're improving existing charts, and we'll be adding a wide variety of new ones later today. But in that zeal, they've removed a bunch of these charts that we normally get every day, including the age and racial breakdowns.
Well, no, this was another one that I had found. I'll find it, and then I'll get back with you on it. But under 50 years old right now is being hit extraordinarily hard. I mean, across the board. Across the board is being hit extraordinarily hard.
You mean not just this state?
Oh, not just this state, no. But across the board, it is just that bad, and it's getting worse. And so, you know, all of the vaccines in the world is not going to be helpful when you have a virus that is allowed to be spread. I don't know. It's like I'm talking to a dummy here. I mean, what is it about this we're not getting? Listen to me. So you get your vaccine, and now they're talking about doing a booster. You get a booster, right? COVID's still here. So COVID comes against you with the booster. COVID says, well, they got some antibodies there, but I wonder if I change up a little bit, I can get past these antibodies. It's sort of like trying to break into a dance. You know what I mean? You got the bouncer sitting there. The bouncer's the antibody. And so you disguise yourself as something else.
Or look for a window.
Yeah, come in and look for a little window to get in. Yeah, I bet I can get in through here. I think I'll try the ear this time. How about that? Yeah, right. See?
There's an eyeball right there.
Yeah, there you go. You understand? That's what viruses do. They adapt. They adjust. They want to continue. It is a pathogen. So we have got to stop the spread. And until we come up with a test and require a test, you're not going to stop the spread, and you're not going to stop it from mutating. I think that we're causing the mutations, to be quite frank, because I think that there are some individuals who are getting vaccinated who have COVID and didn't know it. And so now they have COVID, got vaccinated, there's a reaction, or maybe there's no reaction. And so now, because they've gotten another dose of COVID, be it the synthetic kind or the Johnson & Johnson kind, so they've got COVID now trying to set up antibodies. They had already had COVID, and so their body was naturally trying to stop these antibodies. So now you've got this COVID developing antibodies based upon the old COVID, and it sees this other COVID come in. It's like, let's see if we can adapt to that. Do you know, ladies and gentlemen, if you use the same kind of extermination to get rid of roaches each time, do you know that they will adapt? If the roach lays eggs, look, bear with me. If a roach lays eggs and you spray, those eggs will absorb and develop a way to resist the spray that would ordinarily kill them if they were an adult. Did you know that?
I did.
No, now you know it more. So what I'm saying to you is that life is going to survive. Now, a virus isn't supposedly alive. It's a pathogen. But that survival is what it does. And so what we've got to do, and what the schools should have done, and what they still need to do, and what those of us must do who are vaccinated, and that is test. The vaccination doesn't mean you can't get it. You got to test. And look, I think it needs to be mandatory once a week. I really do. We'll be back.
WJZD FM Long Beach, D'Iberville, Pascagoula, Biloxi, the all-new JZ 94.5.
Time for jazz at 11. Let me guess, Peter White?
No. Bigger guy, bigger guitar.
So I'm stumped. Who is this?
Ronnie Jordan.
All right. All right, Ronnie.
Track's called After 8.
I like it. Little Jasmine Taz there. I like that. Our way of keeping you playing, keeping you practicing. Practice makes perfect. 228-896-9455. Show is called The New Day. One rule, no such thing as a right or wrong opinion. Good morning, my friends listening right now in Coney Island, up there in New York. Appreciate it. So he who wants to be governor, who is now the Speaker of the House, has said that by the way, he had COVID.
He had COVID.
And so he is just getting his vaccination, or he is just now coming out with the fact that he has a vaccination?
Yeah, just coming out in support of vaccination.
I'd say it's about time. Let's hear him.
In times of adversity, we as Mississippians know what it's like to come together. We as Americans and as Mississippians have a reputation of coming to the aid of our neighbor in times of need. World War
we don't
II,
have that reputation.
People rationed goods and stepped up to work in factories to provide and meet the needs of our soldiers who are fighting for us, fighting for freedom abroad. Here in Mississippi during Hurricane Katrina, we can all recount stories of how Mississippians came to the aid of their neighbor and helped each other during time of need. All we have to do is look when we have a tornado or some other crisis here in Mississippi, how we as Mississippians step up and help each other. And I would argue that now we are in tough times. We're in a situation where we as a state and as a nation are experiencing a crisis. Why is it that we always step up and put each other first? Because we are living out the commands of God that says,
that's enough of that. You can stop that. I'm trying to hear that. You know, I just get really fed up with that self-righteousness that I get from people, even like Philip Gunn or any other, especially Caucasian Mississippian who's been quiet all this damn time. How old is he? 50-something, 60-something years old? Don't tell me about stepping up, because y'all were stepping out of the room, especially when there are those of us who are doing the step up. And look, okay, so granted, you know, don't give me this kind of self-righteousness. I just don't like that, and especially don't bring God up, because if there's one thing Mississippi does not have a very good track record of, it's being godly. You should be the least person saying that. Wasn't until just a year ago that you thought it was, get this, economically feasible to get rid of the Confederate battle flag. Had nothing to do with God, did it? And that's a St. Andrew's cross, go figure. Just fed up with that. I really am. I'm just fed up with it. Let's talk about false prophets and just try to come up with some kind of glorified, oh yeah, this is what we do as together. I've been here during every calamity going back to Hurricane Betsy. And I have seen during those times just how unfriendly we are, as much as friendly. And especially when it came down to the recovery. You know what I mean? There are some areas here, and to this day now, still are not the benefactors of so-called BP money. Or for that matter, Hurricane Katrina. Still blue tarps. 228-896-9455. That's the number to call here, folks. I've got. I want to get back to it, and I shall. But I've got to tell you about this. It's yet another installment into the hidden history of the African American warrior, and you need to know about this because Alabama is really stepping up. You know, first they've got the so-called lynching museum, and now a foundation named for an African American who was lynched. Is being awarded more than, right at $250,000 to preserve a school that was important to African American the community. It's called the Eleanor Bowling Initiative. Is getting this money to basically preserve the Lawnsboro School. Now, the National Park Service is getting behind this. I know something about this because I'm doing a building for the National Park Service, but I thought that this was very significant. The fact that they want to preserve this school, and the school was very, very pivotal in the civil rights movement. But there's something else you need to know about the man who was supposedly lynched. I say supposedly because he was accused of a crime, never tried. That means you're lynched. It doesn't mean that you were strung up in a tree because he was shot, to say the least. But this guy, by the name of, let's see. I want to get, should I back into this story or should I just, it's a very incredible story of entrepreneurship. I mean, incredible. I mean, this guy started back in, 1931 for the most part. His name is Elmore Bowling. Elmore Bowling. Married his wife Bertha back in 1931, and that's when he was motivated to go into business. Sure did. Married her in the Hopeville Baptist Church. Shortly thereafter, he got into the livestock building business, and before you know it, he got him a Model T, converted that Model T into a truck.
All right.
Used that truck to get a tractor trailer because he was delivering everything back then, ladies and gentlemen. First, he was taking tin and metal and all of that. Then he bought him a bigger truck. About a 1.5 ton truck, then started carrying the passengers. They'd pay him, and then his wife started getting ice cream business. She started selling ice cream cones. Before you know it, they had a rolling business there, and I mean literally rolling.
Look out now.
He got more trucks. Started hauling fish and everything else, hauling feed for the farmers around, and I mean he just started being independent. This guy Elmore. And by the way, he helped everybody. He was a philanthropist. And all right, if you didn't have enough money to ride in this truck, he said, I'll get you on the next time. Sort of like Mr. Teak used to do. He converted the smaller truck into a milk truck. He kept rolling. Rolling so much, in fact, that there were those starting to see him because, after all, he was making money. More money than white people, end quotes. Got him a brand new tractor trailer, hired some more drivers, and boy, I'll tell you, by now we're getting into the days of World War II. And then there was this one guy that just simply said, doggone it, I cannot believe this black man, that's not what he used, is doing all this. He's got all the trucks, and now he's bought him a gas station, got him a gas tank, selling extra gas to white people, in quotes. He's making more money than the average white man, he said. That's when he accused Elmore of insulting his wife on the telephone.
Well, of course.
And at that point, Elmore was gunned down because insulting someone on the telephone is a crime, especially if Caucasians during that time. You realize that you just didn't do that. So NAACP got wind of it and determined that it was in fact murder. But you got to understand, all of this would not even be mentioned if it were not for the fact that school was there and it was named after him. Even during those days, African Americans had enough sense and enough pride, enough dignity to say, you know what, that was wrong what happened to Elmo. He didn't do that to Elmo. Elmo was good to the community, did everything he was supposed to do. We're going to name the school after him. And so they did, and the school went into disrepair during integration because there were those who wanted integration but didn't want Elmo School because no one wanted to know about that critical race.
Too much.
Notice I didn't say theory. Actuality. That critical race reality. But now they do, and it's to the chagrin of the school board there, who are now saying, well, we don't know if we want to put all this money in the Elmo School. I mean, they don't have a choice. It's Park Service money.
Good.
All right, 228-896-9455. We're going to get back to Biden for that person who asked me about the so-called fiasco. He was saying he was watching the Dog Network, and it is, in fact, that. And the only thing they can say is, what a fiasco this is. And the only thing I can say to them is, no, the fiasco happened back in 2003. What you're seeing right now is this country getting out of the way of that country. And that's exactly what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And I must tell you, I don't feel as enthusiastic as some might feel about the interpreters coming here and all of that. I really don't. It's your country. At this point, guerrilla warfare should start. The insurgency should be starting to organize.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, Ro?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Those folks, if there is a loud outcry of folks trying to get out of that country, it's still their country. So if they're not able to get out of it, like on the outside of the passenger.
Well, I can see women and children, but I'm saying grown men. I'm talking soldier-age men running down the tarmac. I don't see women.
Right, exactly.
There's very few women.
Exactly my point. It's time to fight your own fight.
I'm with Joe. Now, if you're not with Joe, give me a call.
If there's even a fight. I mean, if you guys, for the most part, just wanted a free plane ride, but you're not willing to fight the Taliban to rule your country, that means you must like the Taliban's rule, and that's fine. It's your country.
There's no doubt that there can be an assault. I got that. You're fearful. I got all of that. But, there's got to be some patriotism of Afghanistan.
And there's got to be a quest to get out of that.
And the reason why they helped with interpreters and helped the United States was because they wanted to help their country. Well, it doesn't stop with just the United States leaving, for God's sake.
Right. If anything, it starts when we leave.
But there's something really eerily wrong when you don't see. You got 300,000 uniforms that was given to the Afghan soldiers, military. Where are they?
Where are they? And where are the soldiers?
Where are the boots? Where's all this stuff?
Yeah.
It's got to be somewhere. And my hope is that they're laying low, because I understand that the special forces, Afghan special forces, are supposed to be these incredible, deadly individuals, and maybe that's what we're dealing with. Maybe they're just trying to sneak up on the leadership. Take them out. Or maybe they're, like I said before, maybe they're arming some kind of female force, the Burqa force, who are acting subservient only to get into an environment where they can pull out their M16s and go to work.
Or scimitars whilst the men are asleep.
Yeah, there you go. I don't know. But I can tell you one thing, is their country and they have to decide.
Yeah.
And all the respect to the person who sent me that information with the Dog Network, don't bother. They're going to do the same kind of indoctrination they've been doing for quite some time. And that is this. Okay, whatever Joe does is bad. But ask them whether or not it's worth another American life. You're on the wrong side of history. Let me just tell you, now the conservatism has flip-flopped big time. Now we're talking about people wanting a nation built and that was not one of the platforms of the Republican Party, I might add, until during George W. Bush decided to start that crazily. And so now, you're not going to have it both ways. Now, either you're going to be the Republican or you're going to be the Trumpican, or you're just going to be against everything else. But if you say that you think that Joe could have done something different, what? What at the risk of American lives? Come on. Call me. Let me know. Well, he could have done it better than that, having all those people come out and talk about it. It's their country. These are desperate individuals. I don't care if you rolled up a Sherman tank. 10,000 people will try to get in there, and that's Sherman tank's pretty small. You go up to Louisville and take a look at those Sherman tanks. Man, I don't know how they survived in that. 5 people in that damn Sherman tank.
Yeah, that's crazy.
They were sitting right up under somebody's butt. I mean, it was like, you had to be a little small guy to be in there. All right, 228-896-9455. Quick, let's go.
Just an update. Ms. Faye has indicated that now everyone in the school is required to test. She's still unclear on whether or not the school will actually be shutting down where her grandson goes, though. We'll keep you updated.
Yeah. See, once you get it, then you get a test. I think it needs to be before. In other words, if you're going to go to school, as did Tulane University, there has to be a required test. It doesn't have to be the kind you raw it out your nose for a child. I mean, there are other tests. I mean, I had one that I used that was just very simple. I mean, you got a throat test, you've got a little small nasal test, and it works. Now, the efficacy may not be as good, but what you're trying to do is get as many as you can. So they'll go and take the test. The fewest who have it in your school will help the school stay open. I mean, that's what it boils down to. This is a process of elimination when it comes down to stopping the spread. I don't know why this is so commonsensical. It's process of elimination. So if you get a test, I get a test, we all get a test, right? And we go to this one location, and lo and behold, the test proves for one of us wrong. Okay, that means one who now found out has got it. All right, so you got to step out. Mm-hmm. We know you have it. The rest of us, we're going to get a test. We don't have it. Okay, we stay here. In other words, this is how you do this. It is process of elimination. You continue doing what you're doing, but you're testing to make sure that you don't have the spread. Sort of like getting lice. Kid with the lice, got to go home. All the other kids get checked until some more lice show up. And then you send that white kid home. I say that because African-American kids don't get lice.
Typically.
Unless they get that good hair.
Typically.
You know what that good hair is.
Yes.
It's the kind you go and buy from the Brazilians.
No.
228-896-9455. Can I go to Terrence? Terrence, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Rip. How you doing?
Doing well, brother.
Given that you are religious, in the screening, I told Ro, I asked him what was going on up in Choctaw County, Alabama, and Mississippi adjacent county, Weber. Seemed to be a real, spike, in the people in that region that are getting the virus. And I asked him what's going on. So what I thought about, Rip, since you are religious.
Why you keep saying I'm a religious? I never once said I was religious, Terrence. Where did you get that from?
Well, I was gonna say, to save your family and Stacey, you can offer Ro up as a living sacrifice.
Oh, okay. We're doing the funny.
Take him in the back and put him on top. So, Rip, in the it's still funny that in Alabama, white people are now fighting over the Clotilde slave ship, the last slave ship to land in America.
In Africa Town?
There's a lot of activity.
Yeah.
Huh?
And you're talking about in Africa Town. Africa Town is where the Clotilde is.
Yeah, in Africa Town. A lot of work going on over there. Yeah. It's interesting that Baldwin County, Alabama, right now is the 7th fastest growing county in the United States.
Baldwin?
And Baldwin County. That came out in the census. The census released that information.
So Baldwin is that next door to Mobile?
It is.
So it might be because of the industry. There's a significant amount of industry that's really impairing the growth of Africa Town, whether you know it or not. It's that might be the reason. But let me tell you this, Terrence, and since you brought that up, you realize the fastest or the most COVID per capita right now in this state, county-wise, is Neshoba. Did you know that?
Mhm.
And the reason for it is because just a couple of weeks ago you had the Neshoba County Fair, and the governor was there. By the way, Neshoba is 55th and the most contagious, or the counties, 55th of the counties that have the greatest per capita of COVID. So, go ahead.
I posted the map on both of your websites, the People Station and the Jay-Z
Okay.
site. I posted that new map that was out there. I mean, Mississippi is bloody red.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, Mississippi's real red. I'm gonna also post a article that a multimillionaire Montgomery gave me. The topic is top business leaders launch movements to embed financial literacy into the American culture. And when you start talking about some of that earlier, I said, well, this is right on target to what Rip is talking about. And that's just something that African Americans don't do is, introduce, their kids into business. A lot of them don't, into, budgeting, the whole 9 yards, finance in general. And I always say politically, that's where most African American leaders fall at, and that's because of their lack of knowledge of finance. So they'll talk about the football game, they'll talk about the simple stuff, but when you start talking about real core finance as it relates to governmental finance, their lips are closed because they don't understand it.
Well, I got news for you. I don't find a whole lot of Caucasians understand it either. If you're looking at a comparison, I must tell you, Terrence, I have found, and I appreciate you calling. I have found. It's interesting. I was talking to a dear friend of mine who actually owns a casino that barely got out of high school and didn't go to college. You will find, Terrence, in many instances, those who are in business right here in Mississippi are may not have had a macroeconomics class or an MBA, but they will hire MBAs. It's interesting that what I found has been a commonality among those of us who would venture into entrepreneurship or business has been no fear. Failure is never an option. When you have nothing, you got nothing to lose. And that's really, it's like you'll try it. And I don't mean if you're going to gamble on the dice table, then you might as well gamble in business, because that's what it is, right? But the greatest quest is that it's yours. Whatever you do, it's going to be yours. Whatever you benefit from, whatever you do, and the sweat on your brow is going to be your sweat. So yeah, I don't know, whether I would agree with that, Terrence. And I don't like being critical of black people or white people, because I really have found that not one race has a lock on being trifling. And I have found just as many Caucasians who don't have a grasp of finance as I do African Americans. I found just as many Caucasians that will put something on layaway and not pick it up. I'm just telling you. And, it might be because you're not running across those Caucasians. You hear that often. Well, white people don't do this or they don't do that. Well, you ought to be around them a little bit more, and you might find there's not a whole lot of difference in people. I'm just going to tell you. They don't all get along. If that were the case, then you wouldn't have had a civil war among them, especially. So yeah, I stopped short of that. I do feel, however, that there needs to be some more enthusiasm on the part of younger African Americans to go into business. I was listening to Les Brown this morning on Breakfast Club, and we had chatted with him. Oh God, Judy was here when we talk with Les Brown. He was he was in Germany actually doing an interview with us, and I was, he's a motivational speaker, and I was quite thrilled that he had his son John on with him, and he sounds very good, very very strong guy, and he was talking about business and so forth. And at a time when, Les Brown was a former DJ with BLS over in New York City, and came from hard knocks for the most part, and good family or good rearing, but he was a foster child. Mm-hmm. He was a foster child, and did not know his real mom until the last couple of years, his real dad and mom. But I find that most often with people who are in business and stay in business, they don't have a whole lot to work with. But whatever you got, you work with it. My mom always said that, if you don't have something, make do with what you got. And I think that has been my pet peeve for survival, And I never give up. It's always the way to do a thing. If you don't have a real shovel, you got to make one. It's so 228-896-9455.
So in response to the question of the day here, we asked our listeners and followers online to take part in this grading of the governor and his response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Wilfred says F-, hell-bent on killing kids. How does he not understand that this Delta variant is not joking around? A couple of days ago, an 8th grade student died from it, and it was quick. Sick to dead in a few days. Will never reach any milestones, and her parents will suffer a lifetime of grief. Nice job, Governor. RJ says just poor. Maybe he needs to train. Maybe he needs this new strain of COVID. Furthermore, Rip, I think there is always a first time Johnny Dupree may unseat Stephen Palazzo. Remember, no one thought Palazzo was going to unseat Gene Taylor, but hey, who knows?
Yeah, we
Dupree
did.
got nothing to lose.
Yeah, we did. The polls showed as much.
Yeah,
really did. But look, I appreciate your confidence, but we can't lose again. Now, I mean, I hear you. I hear you. I hear you 500%. But I don't see anything on the horizon, even leadership-wise, that I could brag on Johnny and say, okay, well, here's why.
Yeah.
What he's bringing to the table, and hopefully this will spur him to prove me wrong. I want to be proven wrong.
Yeah. And then a chorus of Fs. Carolyn says definitely an F. Reeves, the governors of Texas and Florida, get F ratings also. Linda says F. Carl says F. Carolyn says 0, because you can't grade someone who does nothing.
Oh, zeros are worse than Fs.
0, man, 0. Oof.
Can't make up a 0.
Can't make up that 0. And that's gonna hurt your overall grade regardless. It's a 0.
So the newspaper got 6,000 responses. More than 4,500 people said 70% gave Reeves a failing mark.
Damn.
10,000 respondents said Reeves got a passing grade, A, B, or C.
Yeah, right.
Nearly 80% of the respondents to the poll said they believe Reeves' leadership so far during the last COVID spread has failed Mississippians. 10% said, nah, he could be doing more. 10% also the respondents said that they were happy with Reeves. An overwhelming number of survey takers believe Reeves' messaging of personal choice for vaccines is weak. 86% of the respondents saying he should flat out encourage Mississippians to get vaccinated against COVID-19. 8% of the respondents said governor's stance is fine and believe vaccines should not be mandated. We'll tell you more when we come back.
Get the info. Stay informed. It's a new day with Rip Daniels, the #1 talk show in South Mississippi on Jay-Z 94.5.
We got the refugees all-stars, rubber dubbing in the club. Wyclef John Forte, Roswell. The streets are getting a little crazy. Look here. Look at shorty got back. Should I ask her for a dance? Hold on, there's too many in the wolf pack. And besides, dirty cats talking to her, buying her fake furs and taking her to the fever. Quiet as it's kept, they ain't even his Benz. She spends his Franklins, hit the malls with her friends. Material girl living in a material world, but it's alright, cause it's Saturday night. So Mr. Funk Master, pump the BGs. And all you college students playing Ouija's. Check the spelling R-E-F-U-G-E. Get the CD from Sam Goody.
Have we heard from him, from this Haitian regarding the earthquake?
Have not. Sure he's tweeted something.
Need to check on it. All right, good morning, folks. Rip Daniels here. Show is called It's a New Day. There's only one rule. There's no such thing as a right or wrong opinion. It is very, very sad what's happening. The poor Haiti, man, they just cannot catch a break, bro.
No.
So, what is it? Grace comes through last night and dumps 15 inches of rain on the after effects of a 7.2 earthquake.
Yeah, people literally still
36,000 homes gone.
Yeah, people still
1,400 people right now dead, and more suspected.
People still digging out, and then the deluge comes.
They cannot catch a break. The poor Haitian people. Jeez, what do you do? What do you say? Somewhere
a Vodun temple had collapsed, and folks were still trying to recover the bodies there yesterday ahead of Grace. Didn't finish that job.
You know, for the person asked me about how could we help Haiti, I don't know. I really don't know. I'm going to go back to New Orleans. They got a large Haitian community over there. All you got to do is get in a cab. Haitian and Ethiopian, actually, cab drivers. And you know, I just don't know. They lost. Do you realize that Haiti, in the last, 2-3 years ago? Maybe more, maybe 5 years ago, when they had their last earthquake, lost, 200,000 people? How does that little island have 200,000 people in the first place? Well, it's half island, because the other side is Dominican Republic.
Right. And there's another thing. Is the Dominican Republic suffering as badly as Haiti?
No.
Because we there's never.
Well, no. It looks like the thing went the other direction. Right now, they got some. It was felt in and around Jamaica.
Yeah.
But it's just they cannot catch a break. I mean, I don't even think the cruise ship started going back to Port-au-Prince yet. And some of you who were around when they had the movie Love Boat, the Love Boat used to go to Port-au-Prince all the time. That was one of the favorite places to go. Haiti, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Huge mountains, wonderful beaches.
Labadee.
Beautiful and wonderful people, but they just cannot catch a break. And I don't know what to tell you. Once someone comes up with a legitimate fundraiser. It's hard to tell in Haiti now. I'm going to tell you, you don't want to just throw your money over there.
True.
They got gangs over there, and then they're profiteers. There's no doubt. And actually, there was some concern over the last time the earthquake went through there, and there was a bunch of money that was kind of swirling around there. So, but hopefully they'll catch a break on a sunny day, and things are better. And this is out kind of on the peninsula, bro. I've not been out on the peninsula. I always wondered about that, but how populated it was out there. It's not as populated as, of course, the mainland. It kind of jots out into the Caribbean.
Yeah.
All right, 228-896-9455. Yeah, I'm going to go back to this thing here with the governor and the scoring. Rather interesting that he is getting very poor marks. And by the way, I did find that information regarding under 50 years old in this state. And it is true. Right now, the average age of those who are being hospitalized is 50 years old and younger. There's been a child as young as, 2 months that has COVID.
Jeez.
I mean, this is unusual. We're not hearing this or seeing this, or we didn't hear it or see it before, which tells me that the virus is not only spreads easier, but it's attacking people who have a stronger immune system. You got me? Which is why I got the vaccine. I mean, there's no doubt. Let's see here. Blah, 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 blah. Back to the survey, more than 5,200 people, or 91% of the respondents, believe Reeves should have ordered mandatory masks for schools. That's right. Or have ordered distance learning as an option.
What was the percentage?
91%. 91% of the 5,200 people. When it came to lockdowns, the largest difference of opinion in the survey was right here. When asked if Reeves should order a statewide mask mandate indoors or enact lockdowns to slow the spread of coronavirus, 74% said yes. Yeah. Mask. Yeah. And, you know, obviously he's not here. 26% believe that no lockdowns or mask mandates should be enacted. Like I said before, with these governors, be it DeSantis or Abbott or Dictator Reeves or any other governor, what they are not hearing, what they're doing is listening to the loudest of the minority. Basically Trumplicans who are trying to hold on to some kind of political designation of this COVID, as opposed to, wait a minute, this is a health management crisis. If you wear a mask, you're Democrat. If you don't wear a mask, you're Republican. You're gonna be one of us or one of them. I can think of a city councilman or two who that didn't bode very well for, just to say the least. Several politicians, to be frank, and it's just it's unconscionable that there are those who don't have the ability to change their minds and realize, well, wait a minute, it's not working for me. It's not working for me at all. Like schools right now, it's just not working. Is Stone County back up, bro?
No. Stone County is still in their 2 weeks of quarantine. Funny you mentioned that. Now attention is turned to the schools that are below high school. Several folks, younger folks around 8, 9, have now been diagnosed with COVID-19. Parents are still clamoring. And that has them paranoid, and that has their siblings paranoid. And that has a lot of folks just wondering, well, when is the word going to come down? I mean, we got a mask mandate for schools before.
So if your kid has or have had COVID, give me a call. I'm curious as to their experience. You know, I've not heard from children who have, younger children who have survived COVID or have COVID. Nothing's worse than a child who is ill, and especially when they don't know what's wrong with them.
And especially when they're possibly infected with something with so little information.
Yeah, and it's just, it's heart-wrenching for me. It really is. It's if you ever find a child that has a cold or a fever, you know, all you can do is let your heart break, and you try to do what is necessary to take care of them. And they're scared. They're not only scared, but they're weak, and they're very vulnerable. You know, and but if you have had a child that is that's had COVID, I'd like to chat with them. I'm sitting here. I'm trying to find something as we speak here. Here we go. There is an election. Someone asked about an election coming up. There is an election coming up in November. You got to qualify by September 3rd. Several circuit court judges, chancery court judges in certain districts. Here on the coast, you've got it says special election for, okay, here it is. You got a special election for district attorney, District 2. William Crosby, he took the place of Joel Smith. He is the district attorney here. That's going to be November the 2nd. As of yet, no one else has thrown their hat in the ring, Ron?
W. Crosby Parker, no.
Yeah. Nope. There it is, yeah, William Crosby, yeah. Yeah, no, and then, of course, you've got some upstate Senate races that are open. And Heritage. It's the only one here local, huh? So you've got some judgeships. You've got circuit court judge, and you've got the attorney general. The district attorney here in Gulfport, or in Harrison County, Harrison, Stone, and Hancock, actually. All right, 228-896-9455. That's the number to call. Can I get her in? No? Yes? All right. Good morning, Miss Lee.
All right. Good morning, Miss Lee. Good morning.
How are you?
I give the governor an A.
Oh, for what?
Well, if it wasn't for him, Roe wouldn't be able to do these impersonations that keep me laughing. So that's the reason I'm giving him an A.
Well, I appreciate that.
Thank you, Ro.
But the survey was on the handling of COVID.
Yeah, I'm listening to something. It must be getting some feedback. Yeah, is that on my phone or your phone?
Okay, can you not?
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out, Miss Lee. Yeah, you go ahead and straighten it out, bro.
Get the info. Stay informed. It's a new day with Rip Daniels, the #1 talk show in South Mississippi on Jay-Z 94.5.
Oh, na, 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 na. Oh, na, 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 na. Hey! Sim Simma, who got the keys to my bimmer? Who am I? The girls, them sugar. How can I make love to a fella in a rush? Pass me the keys to my trucks. Who am I? The girls, them lock. And I, we make love to precious. But you a bubble get ready.
All right, folks, good morning to you. Rip Daniels here. Thank you for joining us. The show is called The New Day. One rule, no such thing as a right or wrong opinion. Let's go back to Miss Lee here quickly. Good morning, Miss Lee, again. Hopefully your phone's good.
Yes, sir. Yeah, since you say I can't give him that A, it's based on something else. He would not get a grade from me. He would be suspended from school.
Really? You don't think he's done much to really push the state forward when it comes to COVID, huh?
Dealing with COVID? No, he needs to go back to pre-K.
Really? It was embarrassing to me, Miss Lee. It really is. It's as if he does not see how it makes us look in the national media for him to take that position. And here we have now, we've got our major hospitals creating rooms in garages. How do you explain to someone who doesn't get the fact that you look like crap, Well,
I would ask, what exactly did I do or not do that you don't agree with?
Well, how do you feel about this? Our state, the Level 1 Trauma Center, is setting up the second emergency field hospital in the parking garage that will handle some of the sickest COVID patients.
And we've had those before during this pandemic. That's not a new thing. As we were stretching out the ICUs.
You do realize why they're there. You realize it's because we're spreading, right? You realize you've done nothing to stop the spread. You, the governor, have actually willed not one executive order to stop the spread. It worked last year, didn't it work?
Well, why are we here? If it worked, then why?
Because you stopped it. You stopped doing what worked.
But if it was working and then it stopped.
You stopped it.
But it was working. If it worked and then I stopped it because it was working, then why are we here?
Because you stopped it. Are you listening to yourself?
But are you listening to me is my question. If we stopped it, Miss Lee, I don't know why you're laughing. I'm trying to express a point. I'm quoting a serious question. If we stopped it, thank you. If we stopped it, okay, because it worked, right? Why are we where we are today?
Because when you stopped it, it was working. When you stopped it, it started again.
So it didn't work.
See you, Miss Lee. Appreciate you calling. I got to get the doc in. Doc, good morning.
Good morning.
How you doing, man? You okay? We hadn't heard from you for a couple of days, brother. You all right?
Yeah. Well, I've been up in the country way back out on a lake, and I'm a changed man now, got out there with the rap boys and playing that stuff, and heaven must be like this, And it just changed you, to get away from this place. There's a lot of hate going on around here, and it brought me back.
That's good. Every once in a while, you got to take a hiatus.
Yeah, you understand rap better. I'm gonna have to play a little more rap myself. I'm gonna try to hook it up today. Rudy Tuesday, rap blues.
Okay.
Rap is blues. You ain't gonna get around rap. You might as well join it. The past is the past, and the future is now.
Wait a minute. Did you just say? Are you gonna rap, Doc?
All the problems.
Doc, are you gonna
Yeah,
rap?
all the problems gonna have to be fixed through rap.
Doc is gonna rap.
You know, now, you know, I saw, you know, I took a good look at it, and I was up there looking at the cotton fields. You know, they used to have hoe cotton and go on with hoe. You don't know what that is, do you?
Hoe cotton?
Yeah, on a hoe. You use your hoe cotton.
Oh, yeah, hoe. Yeah, I know what a hoe is, yeah. H-O-E, yeah, I know that.
Yeah, they need a hoe like you would need an elephant in your backyard. Now, them cotton
If you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. 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 Any road will take